All right, welcome back to the show, folks. Special thanks to Jack for coming in, taking time out of his busy schedule to talk to us about Care Saga, which is going on this weekend. Tons of events going on.
So many things, and that's, the conflict when it gets to summertime, right? Because every weekend there's all these festivals going on. You need to decide which one to go to. But again, get your passport, use free transit opportunities, and then you can go to many different opportunities across Peel region.
Well, and we were talking about the multiculturalism here in Peel, and that's one of the big draws for a lot of folks coming in, moving into the community. Another draw is the fact that the Peel region is one of the greenest regions in Canada. Actually, there are 1.3 million people in Peel, and it's very important to stay green, to keep our community healthy, and that's why we've got Rick in studio right now from the Toronto Region Conservation to talk a little bit about life in Peel and how to make it better. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you very much for having me.
So this is a campaign that has been going on for the past little while, and this year specifically you're focusing on climate change. Tell us about the campaign.
Well, as you said, we launched Life is Better in Peel about 2 years ago, and the idea was to sort of get people excited, get people thinking, get people inspired about their local environment. I mean, we think about environment in a lot of terms, in a lot of cases, as a global issue, but really, the environment is where you live. It's your environment. And so we focused on Life is Better in Peel to get people interested in the environment from a regional perspective.
That's why I love the term carbon footprint, because it brings it home, right? You talk about your foot size, whatever it may be, 4 to size 10. You get to really focus on what your impact is on the world.
That's right.
And what I think is so interesting in what you're really focusing on this event as well is how people can actually find out what their carbon footprint actually is, and they can go to your website to find that out.
That's right. So this time we're focusing on climate change. But we're doing it in a little differently than what most people think of with climate change. Climate change, I mean, we've all heard the gloom and doom sort of prognosis about climate change, but actually climate change can be thought of as a very positive thing if you think that every one of us can do something positive to either adapt to climate change or mitigate the influence of climate change. So yeah, you're right, LifeIsBetterInPeel.ca. It gives you, it's sort of an entry point. It's a one-stop shop for learning about climate change from a local perspective, Peel perspective.
And it's interesting that we're talking about, uber local, because a lot of people are looking, south now, and they're looking at that horrible situation going on in the Gulf. And they feel helpless. They really do feel helpless when it comes to that situation. But what you're saying is that you really got to start locally and start making a difference in your community.
That's the only way change will happen. That is the only way change will happen. We can't solve the world's problems by looking at everything at the same time. We have to look at where we live and what we can do. And if everybody does that, it'll get better. Now, at LifeIsBetterInPeel.ca, people can go and, first of all, there's lots of information. There's links to resources about initiatives that the region, Peel region, is taking on in terms of climate change. But there's also this zero footprint Peel carbon calculator. And what that is a place where people can actually go in, and it's customized for residents of Peel region to go in, and you're asked a number of questions, and what it does is you then get sort of a printout of what your carbon footprint is. What is the size of the footprint of carbon emissions? And carbon emissions, by the way, are those greenhouse gases that are contributing largely to climate change. They trap the heat in the Earth's atmosphere, and that's what causes the climate to change. But the first step is to know how much of this stuff am I personally responsible for.
So it's kind of like a report card.
It's a report card, and it's a report card, but it's also, it then moves on to give you tips and ideas on what you can do to help reduce your carbon emission. And it's not hard. And the other thing is, again, climate change has kind of a bad rap. In fact, our take on this is that you can feel really good about yourself by doing this stuff, and it's not hard. Buying local food. Buying local food. Now, what is more pleasurable than going on a Saturday morning to a farmer's market and buying local food?
You think it's cliche, but I guess it actually, works. Think globally, act locally.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it probably applies more to this situation than anything I can think of.
And of course, people can go to the website, get some of these great tips, LifeIsBetterInPeel.ca, but you can also find out about some great events that's happening, and tell us about the one that's happening this weekend.
Well, the Peel Children's Water Festival has been going on for a number of years, and it's really an opportunity for children, but adults as well, to sort of learn about the importance of water and water conservation conservation, because again, climate change and water are very interconnected. We need to think about how we use water and so on. But Life is Better in Peel will be exhibiting there along with a number of other vendors, and there'll be activities and entertainment and so on. So it's fun, but it's also an opportunity to learn about water. Life is Better in Peel will be there actually talking about local food, and we'll have local farmers there from a green farm, helping people understand how they, whether they live in a house or an apartment, can start growing some of their local foods. We'll be giving away some seedlings and so on. And it's all, again, connected to this idea that it can be fun, it can be enjoyable to do something positive.
And how important is it, to really, grow that awareness and instill these values in children at an early age?
It's vitally important. I mean, we do a lot of research on this stuff. And we know that children are, in many cases, the driving force behind big changes in society.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. Children are the ones who are going to, first of all, they have a bigger stake in this, as it's their future we're talking about. But second of all, they also have a sort of they haven't formed the bad habits yet.
Yeah, right.
So it's an opportunity to get them into sort of some of these habits that will hopefully make a difference.
In that case, do you think the roles have reversed? Instead of the parents teaching the children, now the children are actually teaching their parents?
Oh, that is so true. That is so true. It happens in my house all the time. My kids tell me that I'm doing even though this is my life, I do this for a living, they keep reminding me of all the things I should be doing, and that's great. And whenever they do, I'm thankful that somebody is teaching them as well.
It's a sign you're doing a good job.
Well, and we've had so many different youth groups here on the couch, talking about what they are doing actively in the community to really, motivate change within the community. How are we doing? How is the region doing as a whole in terms of this issue?
Well, I think there's two ways to answer that question. There are some wonderful initiatives underway. There are some wonderful groups, as you mentioned, doing exceptional work in Peel region and all across the region. The schools, many of the schools have fabulous programs. There's tons of great stuff going on, and the region of Peel and the municipalities, they're all doing great things. That said, and things are getting better. That's the other message I do want to get across, is that things are getting better, but we have a long way to go. We have a long, long way to go, and I think that is why we want people to sort of start taking a look at climate change from their own personal perspective, as opposed to some big issue that's out there in the world.
And Rick, you hit it home. Every little bit really counts. Of course, if you live in Peel region, you probably already think it, but now you got to type it into your computer. LifeIsBetterInPeel.ca to find out about these great events, but also how you can be green. We'll be right back with the ribbon roll after the short break.
Talking food.
Yeah.